Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. Today I'm here with another autumnal themed tag, so I will be doing the full-time cozy tag. I saw this on Heather's channel originally from Bookables, so I will link her video down below and I will also link the original tag video down below. I love autumn, it's one of my favourite seasons and I just really wanted to do all of the seasonal tags, so this is quite a long tag but it's got short answers and it's just really nice and themed. The first prompt is crunching leaves. The world is full of colour. Pick a book that has reds or oranges or browns on the cover. I've gone with Peter James, The House on Cold Hill. It's got a little bit of orange that you can see, but I own the physical book of this. I left it at home and the spine is like bright orange. It's a really eye-catching book. I've not read this one yet, but it is a haunted house horror book, which if you know this channel you know is one of my favourites, so I'm hopefully gonna read it eventually. I'm not planning to read it this October actually, but I might if I have some spare time. The next prompt is cozy sweater. It's finally cold enough to wear warm clothing. What is a book that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy? I had to go with The Tea Dragon Society. This is one of my favourite graphic novels. This is just an adorable fantasy story about this world where these tiny dragons exist that grow tea leaves, and if that is not the ideal word for me, I don't know what is. So yeah, really like this graphic novel. It's the perfect feel-good read and yeah, I couldn't recommend it more. Next prompt is Fall Storm. The wind is howling and the rain is pounding. Pick your favourite book or genre that you like to read in kind of stormy autumnal weather. So for this I really struggled because my instinct is horror. I love horror. I read a lot of horror and horror is obviously very appropriate for October, but I find that in colder, wintry, stormy weather I actually really want to read fantasy. I'm not sure where that is. There's something about fantasy that I just associate with like November specifically. There's quite a lot of readathons that are fantasy themed in November, which could be why, but I think, yeah, fantasy or horror, depending on my mood, would be my answer for this. The next question is cool crisp air. What's the coolest character you would like to trade places with? So I was trying really hard not to give the same answers as Heather from Bookables, but there was just one answer that immediately jumped into my head and it's the answer she gave, but I also have to give it. I tried for so long to think of any other character that I could possibly answer for this and I just couldn't, so I would have to pick Blue from the Raven Boys. I adore Blue. She's one of my favourite female characters of all time, and though while I did not enjoy the Raven cycle that much, I really like her as a character and I like the way she acts. I think is just really cool, and there's not many characters I would describe with that word apart from her. So yeah, she's definitely the coolest character I can think of. I don't know if I'd like to trade places with her for that long. I feel like her life's not that great and I feel I get much more annoyed with the Raven Boys than she does. I'm not very good at dealing with I feel like I tell them all to just get a job and, you know, live in the real world, which wouldn't be great. The next prompt is hot apple cider. What book do you want to see, what underhyped book do you want to see become the next biggest, hottest thing? I have several books that I wish would be bigger than they are, and I would like to do a video on that at some point. But for the moment, my biggest one is #MurderTrending by Gretchen McNeil. I can understand why this book is not bigger than it is, because it is literally ridiculous, and I thought I would hate it. I read this last August, and I really, really loved it. It's so creative, and it has this really wacky energy about it, but in a really good way. But essentially this is about a girl who lives in a world where if you commit any kind of crime you get sent to this prison, and this prison is essentially a reality TV show, and at any point you could be ambushed and put into some kind of death trap, which is run by one of, I think there's 7 themed serial killers employed by this TV show, and there's like one who is a hipster and that's his theme, there's one who crafts and that's her theme, and yeah, it shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work, and I get a lot of people probably would hate this, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's just so creative and unlike anything else I've ever read. That I really enjoyed it, and I think it deserves more attention because I think a lot of people could like this book, but because it's so off the wall, it doesn't really get talked about a lot. And the sequel has also just come out, and I will be reading it this month, so I'm hoping I will enjoy that as much. The next prompt is a fun one. It is coats, scarves and gloves. What is a book cover that is so embarrassing you have to keep it hidden in public? I have a book that I keep in a box in my room, not on my bookshelf, because both the title and the cover are really embarrassing, and I'm going to share it with you now. I'm not going to tell you anything else about this book because it's pretty self-explanatory. But this is the book title and the cover. And yeah, it's actually an interesting coming of age story about the topic that the title suggests. But they decided to market it in this way. And now I have this book that I have to hide from everyone. But yeah, if you have a book that's more embarrassing than this, I would love to know. Or do you think that I have found literally the most embarrassing book that there is? Because I think it's potentially that I have. Final question is pumpkin spice. What is your favourite autumnal food, drink, flavour type thing? I have a lot. If we're talking specifically autumn, I will say chocolate apple. I don't know if you have them in America, but they're like toffee apples or candy apples, I think you call them, except they're just covered in chocolate and sprinkles on the top, and they're way better than toffee apples because toffee apples are tasty for like one bite and then your teeth are glued together and it's awful, whereas chocolate apples are just apples covered in chocolate, and I will buy them continuously brief time that they're in the shops from like halfway through October till Bonfire night, and then they just vanish forever and it makes me really sad. But yeah, that's my favourite autumnal flavour. I also really like gingerbread, but that is more Christmassy, so chocolate apple is the one. And the final thing is Bonfire. Let's tag some people. So I'm going to tag Amy from the Non-Fiction Feminist. I'm also going to tag the Hyped Up Hufflepuff. So I will link both their channels down below. Thank you so much for watching this tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me out massively. Let me know what your answers to these questions would be. If you want to do this tag, feel free to say that I tagged you. I'm always happy to like tag people in comments and stuff. And yeah, I will see you next time.